supposed to go like right out of the music into the episode.
It will sound like that later on. I spelled welcome with 2 L's on accident.
Well, welcome.
All right. Welcome to the Grindhouse Syndicate. I'm your host, a pile of shitty adult diapers, and that's my co-host, a wooden shed. And today we're doing another crazy naked old lady movie. M.Night Shyamalan's The Visit from 2015. We got our second naked old crazy lady movie.
Yes, we do. I
It's two
did
in
notice
what,
that.
2 or 3 weeks?
Yep.
When did we do X? Like 2 weeks ago?
Those naked old ladies are fucking creepy, man. I've noticed those are big hits in horror movies. I actually have that down to talk about. So, like that, you think about it. What horror movie has had a naked old lady that wasn't creepy? Like, you have
Do a good job with that.
The Shining.
Oh yeah, The
Yeah,
Shining. The Shining does have a naked, creepy old lady in it.
Yeah, it's always a big hit.
It is a big hit. What is?
Fucking
They don't ever have
creepy.
naked old men. What's up with that?
Thank God.
How do you feel about being the co-host of Wooden Shed?
I guess I'll take it. I'm full of shit.
Better be
Full of shit diapers.
shitty adult diapers.
Yeah.
Yeah, the intro will make sense in, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes into the plot here. Well, first we'll get on to some news. We don't have a lot of news, but we got some news. We'd like to include something to keep you in the know. So the Texas Chainsaw Massacre video game just dropped a couple days ago, actually, and it is for the PC, the PS4, the PS5, all the PSs, and the Xbox. It has an average score of a 6 out of 10, and get this. Kane Hodder did the motion capture for Leatherface and Grandpa in the game.
Nice.
Did you know that?
I did not know that.
I just found that out today.
I'll check that out.
Yeah, I've been kind of keeping track of it because I want to play it. It's real similar to the Friday the 13th game. The difference being, instead of in the Friday the 13th, there was just one killer being Jason and like 5. Everyone else just played as the people trying to escape. In this, you play, one person plays Leatherface, and then there's 2 of his family members. So you got like 3 killers and like 4 or 5 victims. I believe there's like 3 maps, which is like the house, the butcher factory, whatever that's called. And then there's like a 3rd map. I can't think of what it is. But I've been kind of keeping track of it because I want to play it. It's got its bugs. It's got its issues. It just came out. Overall, it's pretty good. People are enjoying it. People like it.
Yeah, everything has its bugs when they first come out now. It's big, like...
Yeah, especially anything online on the internet that relies on the internet.
Yeah, it's weird thinking back when we were kids. The game came out and that was the game.
That was it.
Now it's just... there's so many bugs when something first comes out that being able to update the game is huge, I'm sure, for developers.
Yeah, I'm sure that they're going to go in the coming weeks or coming months to kind of work all this stuff out. All the bugs that I heard about it is pretty much internet related. It's all internet stuff. It's, like games suddenly crashing, or your character will freeze in a game and then you get kind of booted out from the game, like in the middle of it. Just stuff like that. Just standard internet shit. It's
never get as bad as Warzone. It will not.
Yeah, that game's always got problems. But yeah, I like the whole Kane Hodder thing. I think that's super cool. So the grandpa in the game, he's the grandpa from the movie. He doesn't do anything. They said he did the motion capture for the grandpa, and as far as I know, all the scenes of the grandpa. So one of the objective for the killers is every time they kill one of the other gamers, the victims, they take a little bit of their blood and they run it over to grandpa, who's just stationary in a chair. He's not played by anybody, and you give him some of the blood. And as you give grandpa the blood, your you as a killer, like you, because each killer has a special, and that special gets stronger. So that's like an incentive to give him the blood. How that is connected, I don't know, but it's a game. So
Well, I'm glad to hear that somebody's not having to play Grandpa, because that was my first thought. Like,
does
damn, that
someone just
sucks
sit
for the
there?
guy who gets picked to play Grandpa.
Well, what did Kane Hodder do for the motion capture? Just sit in a chair?
Probably.
Nah.
Probably like he's already here. But I'd take it. Anything Kane Hodder does is normally pretty good.
I did see though that so Kane Hodder actually did play Leatherface in the third movie, actually, a long time ago. He was a stunt guy for the third one. So that is, I guess, one of the reasons they kind of picked him to do it. He had played Leatherface in real life before. Didn't know that. News to me. Another thing was The Nun 2 received its R rating for violence and disturbing / bloody images. It has released 3 short TV teaser trailers, and it hits theaters September 8th.
Coming up quick.
Yeah, I know there's a lot of big Nun fans out there.
Yes.
She is very creepy, very interesting character. Big time for the what franchise she part? The Conjuring franchise.
Wait, we actually have a painting.
Yeah,
The painting from The Conjuring 2 of the nun hanging up in my living room.
I would say she's the most popular from that franchise.
Yeah.
From what I understand, I'm not like a huge fan of it, but it seems like if you were to pick one image to represent that franchise, I think it would be her. I don't know. The Annabelle's really popular too, though. But I think maybe the Nun might be more popular.
Yeah. So I guess they take place in the same, like they're the same, the Annabelles and the Conjuring, but they're also kind of separate. The Conjuring, the Annabelles, the Conjurings are at least based off of the actual cases, whereas the Annabelles are just made up stories. That kind of separates them for me.
Yeah, so we did go and finally see Talk to Me. We won't get into a lot of it because we want to do something separate for it, but we will say great movie, phenomenal movie. One of my favorite movies, I think, is for this year. Go see it.
Yes, absolutely.
Definitely go see it.
Second that. That is a fantastic movie.
I will say a little bit of news with that movie was, I guess the movie got banned in Kuwait. I guess one of the actors in the movie in real life is a trans person. We've seen the movie. Them being trans is not part of the movie. It's not part of the plot. But I guess they're trans in real life, and the government of Kuwait did not want to promote that, so they banned the whole entire movie for the whole entire country.
It's insane. That was
So,
and their government actually sat down, and that was the whole thing.
Yeah, it's not in the movie. It's not in the movie at all. So, this actor did comment on it, I think today or yesterday, and they were like, well, it's not even part of the movie, so we didn't think it would be a big deal. I would agree. It's not even in the plot. It's not mentioned. It's not even said one time in the movie. And sorry for the people of Kuwait.
Yeah.
You'll have to, I guess you'll have to, get on one of those illegal sites and watch it or something.
Yeah, that sucks.
It does suck.
Sucks. It's a good movie though. I actually can't wait for that movie. I know we're gonna do a short episode on it, but I can't wait for that one to come out and do actually a full episode on it.
They have already released a steelbook set for it, and it is $109. Wow. And it comes with the actual hand.
Okay, well that makes the 109 a little more worth it.
It's pretty
Depends
cool.
on how. I have to see a review on it though. Is it like shitty plastic?
Nope, it's a big book. It comes with like 3 or 4 discs. It comes with the actual hand.
I mean the hand. Is the hand like shitty plastic or?
Yeah, I don't know. It's a big hand.
That's much better than the Terrifier 2 steelbook that they got me on that I ordered. Because most of the steelbooks have like really cool artwork, and then I got Terrifier 2 in, and it was just the same exact artwork.
This
Printed.
hand, this hand that comes with this is molded from the hand from the movie. It comes blank. It doesn't have anything written on it. It comes a little marker for you to kind of write. It says for you, I guess what's written on the hand is a bunch of like victims' names from which I didn't really catch in the movie, but yeah, it's for you to kind of write your own friends and family's names all over the hand.
That's pretty cool.
But yeah, it's like it's a whole entire set. You know, it's not just the movies, it's like a bunch of shit from the movie. But yeah, I think there's only like 5,000 of them made, and they just kind of released it to purchase or pre order or something like that. But I thought that was real cool.
Yeah, that is real cool.
But let's talk about The Visit. So I hadn't seen The Visit since I think I bought it when it first came out. I want to say I think I seen it like 2016. Like I didn't see it in theaters. I know that I went and got it on DVD because I'd heard, he had made a pretty good movie. I know he had some not good movies before that, and I heard it was pretty good. So I went out and I got it on DVD, and I think this was 2016 if I remember right. And I hadn't really watched it since, and I had actually forgot that it was a found footage movie.
That's the first thing I have in my notes. I watched it 4 years ago, and that, for some reason, when I think back on it, it just so I know that there was some found footage in it, but I forgot like the whole thing. It's actually a found footage movie.
Yeah, if somebody would have, I don't know, quizzed me or something and said, did M.Night ever make a found footage movie? I'd have said, nope. No, I got that wrong. And I have it. I own it.
Yeah, when I think of found footage movies, it's just not one that comes to mind. It will now, but it just wasn't one that would have came to mind.
Yeah, totally just, I don't know, man. I just spaced on it being a found footage movie. It's, I don't know. I don't know why I don't remember that it's a found footage movie. Yeah, first thing on the notes. I just don't know why I don't remember. It doesn't have that found footage feel that a lot of those movies have, though. I don't know what it is. I can't really pinpoint it.
Yeah, I agree.
I think maybe, I'm going to take a guess and think maybe that is because in this movie, you have two characters and they both have cameras. So there are times in this movie where we're getting two different, because they'll be in two separate places doing two separate things, experiencing, two separate events, and we're getting those cameras from, and that's not normally of a found footage movie. Found footage movie is normally kind of the same person behind the camera with the same people in front of the camera and continuous.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it might be that the first half of this movie has a lot of not so serious moments too. It just doesn't like feel like a found footage horror that you would normally think of that would come to mind. But there is some moments that are really like there's a specific moment we'll get into in the plot that was 100% paranormal activity vibes.
I mean, it's definitely a found footage movie. Just for some reason, just, I don't know. It has a slightly different vibe than, every other found footage movie I've seen.
I think the last quarter of it is definitely feels like a found footage movie. The first 3/4, 2/3, something like that, maybe not so much.
But yeah, so The Visit is an American found footage horror film written, co-produced, and directed by M.Night Shyamalan, and it is starring Olivia DeLonge, Ed Oxenbould, Dina Dunnigan, and Peter McRobbie. So the film centers around two young siblings, teenage girl Becca and her younger brother Tyler, who go to stay for a week with their estranged grandparents. During their stay, the siblings notice that their grandparents behaving bizarrely, and they set out to find the truth behind the strange circumstances at the family farm. This movie was released on September 11th, 2015 by Universal Pictures. It had a $5 million budget, and it grossed $98.5 million worldwide. Made $25.4 million on its opening weekend, and it received mixed to positive reviews from critics.
That's a good return.
Yeah,
I'll take it. I know I probably say
almost $100
that
million.
every week. that you go for what they made, but that's pretty good. I wouldn't have thought it made that much.
Yeah, it turned $5 million into almost $100 million. That's a big deal. And so after his previous two films failed, Shyamalan funded the visit by borrowing the $5 million against his own home. Filming began on February 19th, 2014 under the original title Sundowning. So yeah, he funded the movie himself. Turned around and it made almost $100 million.
Yeah, I've seen him and Jason Blum were the main producers on it.
Yeah, so I didn't really include a whole lot of that stuff in there, but Jason Blum came in way later. M.Night Shyamalan actually did this movie by himself, and then once he made the movie, he shopped it around, and like nobody wanted it. He actually kind of freaked out that he was going to lose the $5 million because he couldn't get anybody to get it. He did multiple cuts of this movie, trying to get, maybe a different cut somebody would want. He actually even wrote down, he kept track of all the like executives that turned him down.
I wonder if Blumhouse were the ones who primarily did distribution on it, since they didn't have a whole lot in the actual producing of the movie. I wonder if they did distribution for it.
Yeah, I can't quite remember, but I do know that he pretty much did it himself. Like even the normal people that had been working with him through like all of his films, he didn't really use any of those people. He pretty much stated that he wanted this to be a real small thing, and he wanted this to kind of be like a start over for him, because he had gotten so used to getting these big budget movies, these big budget actors, and he would just sell these movies. Like these movie companies were just shelling out money to him, and then all of a sudden they just weren't doing well, and he wanted to just do something completely different. So
Well, good for him.
yeah.
He succeeded. For $5 million, this is a great movie for
Well,
$5 million.
we'll talk about later on at the end. We'll talk about why he did that, because some people have there's like a much different idea of why he did this. And we'll talk about later on like his actual reason of why he did this, because it's not what everyone thinks it is.
Does everybody think he was just going broke?
Yep.
Yep, that's the first thing that comes to mind.
Yeah, he was a failure, and he went from making these huge big budget movies. They had failed, and essentially everyone was like, well, no one would fund him anymore, and he had to basically borrow this $5 million against his house and fund the movie himself. And he just basically, this was his last shot, and that's not at all what happened. But we'll talk about that later on. But yeah, so ratings. Rotten Tomato gave us a 68%. IMDb gave it a 6.2 out of 10. And Letterboxd gave it a 3 out of 5 stars. It's alright. It ain't bad.
Yeah,
I kind of
think it's a little low for me.
All those sit pretty well with me. That's a little insight into what's come later then, I guess. So you want to jump into the plot?
Yeah, let's do it.
Go into it. All right, so my very first note was before I even started the movie, which has never happened to me before. Never wrote anything before I even hit play. This has actually happened before I even put the movie in. So the cover of the movie is hilarious. It says, "What Jaws did for sharks and Psycho did for showers, the visit will do for grandparents."
Was that from a critic?
No, it's just it's a sticker or something on the fucking cover. It's not in here. Yeah, go look after this episode, go look at it. And I'm like, so this is gonna make everyone scared of their grandparents. I'm like,
well, if you never met your grandparents, it might.
Who the fuck approved that?
Yeah, if you're going to spend time with your grandparents that you've never seen or met, do not watch this movie the night before.
This very unique situation that rarely happens to anybody. this movie will freak you out.
It rarely happens to anybody, but it
I
has
just-
happened to somebody.
Just thought that was just so weird to put on the cover.
Yeah, I know how some movies put like critiques and critics whenever they get like good ratings.
Yeah, it wasn't
or
a
something.
quote.
Yeah, that's weird.
I would have,
for it not to be a quote.
I would have put it down if somebody had, put it as a quote. No, this is just like a statement that they put along with the movie. Yeah, it's printed on the cover.
From what I remember outside of that, I don't remember that, but I do like the cover. The aesthetic,
cool, yeah.
The aesthetic of the cover looks really cool.
Yep, I bet you that this is on the movie poster. I bet you the movie poster says this.
Yeah, I hope not.
I bet you it does. Nobody probably ever reads that because
They only had 5 million.
It's next to like the rocking chair.
They only had 5 million. They couldn't pay for a really good quote.
I don't know if it's supposed to be funny.
Well, that's one thing about this movie is the first half, 3/4 does have a very comedic feel with some creepy parts.
Oh, we're gonna talk about that.
Yeah,
we're gonna talk about that.
That's not my favorite part of the movie. That's for sure. We'll just say that.
Well, that comes into play a little later. But anyway, so the plot of this movie. So the movie starts off with Loretta Jameson giving a documentary-style interview about how she fell in love with her English teacher after high school. And they wanted to run off and get married, and her parents strongly disagreed with this decision, which, yeah, no shit. That's kind of weird. Doesn't really say if they were ever, like, fooling around while she was in high school, but I would assume probably were.
Yeah, there was some illegal shit happening there.
Yeah, I think there's more to the story than what's said, but anyway, so this ends up leading to a big fight between her and her parents, to which Loretta refuses to disclose the details of what occurred that day, and this ultimately leads to her and her parents never speaking again. I believe she says it's 15 years they haven't spoken. And Loretta explains that her and this teacher had 2 children together, and they were married for 10 years. And then suddenly he meets someone else, and he leaves her and the children behind and severs all contact with all 3 of them. And so very recently, Loretta's parents reached out to her via the internet and asked if they could meet their grandchildren and have them stay a week at the family farm where Loretta grew up. And she originally doesn't like this idea, but the children pretty much tell her that they're going to go anyway. They're going to do it. I guess they're going to run away and really stay. But she doesn't want to let them go, and she ends up having to let them go anyway. So she decides to, she does do some background check though on her parents and sees that they're like counselors and, they got their shit together and they still live where, she grew up. And I guess she feels fairly safe letting them go. And, she's up for it.
She's like, this is going to be a perfect time for me to take a cruise.
Yeah. She's got her new boyfriend too, so they're going to take a cruise together. But Loretta's daughter, Becca, she is making a documentary on the whole situation, and she thinks that she can kind of mend the relationship between her and her Loretta, her mom, and her grandparents, her mother's parents. So the 2 kids, they board a train and they head off to meet their grandparents for the first time ever. And while on the train, we are introduced to T. Diamond Stylist.
God damn it, I hate this kid.
T. Diamond Stylist. Like I may mess up and call him T. Diamond Styles, because when I was typing this, the computer kept auto-correcting it to Styles, because I agree, Stylist is like a title, maybe, not a name. But yeah, T. Diamond Stylist. I turned the captions on and read it to make sure that that is what they were saying. That is his name, T. Diamond Stylist. And that is Tyler's rap persona.
Yeah.
And we get a little taste of his rap while we're on the train.
The worst, by far the worst part of this movie.
All the women love him. That is what he raps about.
I will reference this probably a couple times, but I fucking hate this kid. This is where a majority of the comedy that I feel like is not needed, that bring the rating down, come from this kid. But just the character, I just fucking hate it. It is so cringy.
It's very cringy.
That I like my eyes almost water watching it. It's so fucking cringy.
Yeah, not a great part of the movie, and it pops back up quite a few times in here. But this is our first taste of T Diamond stylist. T Diamond stylist. I'm gonna
Who
fuck this
fucking
up.
cares?
But anyways, so Becca and T Diamond, they meet their grandparents at the train station, and they will refer to them, and we will refer to them through the rest of this as Nana and Pop Pop.
Yeah, I went back and forth. I just went with Grandma and Grandpa for half my notes, and then I'm like, nobody's gonna get that because they're Nana and Pop.
Typing it out, those was way shorter than Grandma and Grandpa. So
well, I just put G-Pa.
So they all head to the farm and they become a little more acquainted with each other, where Becca pretty much tells them about her documentary, and T Diamond raps about receiving a lot of sexual attention from women and pineapple upside down cake.
Yeah, this is they tell him to rap. He's like, pick anything I'll rap about. They pick pineapple upside down cake, and he raps about women the entire time. This kid's like fucking 10, 12.
13.
Yeah, oh, well.
According to the plot.
Close enough. Yeah, it's like 13. He just met his grandparents for the first time in his life, and he's doing a rap about women and stuff that 13-year-olds clearly aren't doing. And then they wanted to rap about pineapple upside down cake, and it is the worst shit I've ever heard in my life. And he just ends it with the word pineapple upside down cake, and it didn't even make sense. I'm going to end my rant there. This kid sucks. I mean, he sucks.
Yeah, so he gets a fist bump from Pop Pop, doesn't he?
I don't know. I was too busy thinking about how much I want to kick this kid's face in.
Well, anyway, so later on, Pop Pop informs them that they're old and they go to bed at 9:30. And hey, by the way, don't leave the room after 9:30 and stay out of the basement because there's a mold problem down there. Yep. So we have hit our first red flag.
Yep.
Anytime someone says, "Hey, don't leave your room after this time," and don't go into this whole entire section of the house, you should be worried.
Yeah, so far they seem like typical old people, so the 9:30 thing, not really surprising, like old school, their generation and their old people. But yeah, I did take note of the basement. Like anytime somebody tells you to stay out of the basement or to stay out of a certain room for some stupid excuse, you should probably have your guard up.
I don't know. You remember when we were kids, though? We had a certain family member we would visit every now and then. They tell us not to go into the basement.
The basement monster.
That's what it was.
It was the basement monster. I was a good bit. I was younger than you.
The reality was they were like, "You don't live here, and we don't want you fucking with our stuff."
Yeah, and yeah, I was probably like 4 and 5 then, and I was petrified of the basement monster. Somebody went down there and even pretended to be a basement. I started banging on stuff one time. I don't. Maybe they were hiding bodies.
Well, the difference was they weren't like, "Hey, there's some mold. Don't go down there." They were like, "There's some shit that'll kill you down there." Yeah. So I guess it's different. But the two discover that there is no cell signal on the farm, but they do have internet access in the kitchen via an Ethernet cable that they can connect to the laptop. Man,
those new Ethernet cables they got.
What a time. 2015, and the only connection with the outside world you have is probably just a regular telephone and a very long Ethernet cable in the kitchen.
And these old people probably thought they had the new shit.
Yeah.
They were like, "We just got those Ethernet cables last year."
Yeah. So they video chat with Loretta and assure her that everything's going great and that she should enjoy her cruise vacation with her boyfriend. And I just want to point out that Skype in 2015 or in 2023 has never fucking looked or worked that good ever.
Absolutely not.
Not even almost like a YouTube video doesn't even play that damn smooth. Like that thing was perfect. It was perfect.
They must have the good Ethernet.
I guess. But yeah, all the Skype scenes, I'm like, yeah, get out of here, man. Like you guys could have made that a little more realistic. At least made it like kind of shitty.
$5 million budget, man. They didn't have the money to go in and make it look shitty.
Yeah, Skype must have paid him. Like, don't make our stuff look bad. But later that night, Becca gets hungry for some homemade cookies, and she decides to break the coming out of the room rule, and she starts to venture down the stairs into the dark. And this is where we see Nana sleepwalking while projectile vomiting.
Yeah, what the fuck is this? Like,
It's
if I'd
so
seen this, I would
creepy.
be like, we need to call 911. It is.
Oh man, I like it.
Yeah, I will give it to him, and that's one thing that's going to be a reoccurring theme in this movie that makes it really good. Is the creepy scenes
Are
are
creepy.
fantastic,
They are
and that's what
creepy.
makes this movie what it is for me. This was the first one that was really like, holy shit! Like you're looking down a stairwell in the dark, and you got this old lady you just met in a nightgown just projectile vomiting over and over again.
Yeah, because I didn't really remember a whole lot from this movie. I feel like I just remembered her just kind of like walking around being weird or banging on the walls or something. And then when I seen her down there and just start like, spewing, I was like, oh, okay. This is great. I like where this is going. But the next morning, Becca asks Pop about the incident, and he kind of shrugs it off as a 24-hour stomach bug.
She just gets sick sometimes. That was
Yeah.
his exact quote.
Uh-huh. But later on in the day, the kids decide to play a game of hide and seek underneath the house like their mom used to do. So this is funny. When they go to start the game, Becca calls Tyler her ethnically confused friend. Did you catch that? I thought that was
funny.
fucking hilarious.
That's funny.
I was like, oh, so white people can't like rap? White people can't do rap music? Is that what you're saying?
Well, if you based it off of him, no, they can't.
He shouldn't, but that
Yeah,
doesn't mean
he
that doesn't mean it's
definitely
race
should
thing.
not. My question is, who the fuck plays hide and go seek under a house? Like,
well, you can't stand up, so I think that would suck. But whatever.
Yeah, that would be terrible.
So Nana surprises them by joining the game unannounced and being creepy as fuck. That's all I wrote about it. I don't know how else to describe it.
Yeah,
just creepy as fuck.
There is.
I mean, creepy as in the daylight. Creepy as fuck. That's hard to do.
Yeah, they're under the house, and she's like chasing Becca, and you see a unfocused shot of her crawling behind her. Of Nana crawling behind her. I thought that was, as far as the cinematography goes, that was a fantastic shot. Her unfocused in the background crawling.
Yeah, because they don't really know that she's down there with them at first, and they're kind of like listening for each other and looking out for each other, and she's got this like creepy silent spider crawly shit going on, and she's just like, and then she'll do this crazy like witch laugh thing behind them. Oh man, it's good. It's good.
I would be absolutely petrified.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
And then we get the first glimpse of Nana's ass cheek.
Oh yeah, when she comes out, her like dress is ripped in the back, and she's like somehow not aware of it.
yeah, she does all this creepy stuff, and then just pops up, and she's like, "I'm going to bake a pot pie," and then turns around and walks in with her ass cheek hanging out.
Yeah, and the kids are kind of like, well, I don't know, is this weird or is this not weird? We don't really know because we don't really know these people.
No, that's weird. Any grandparents that crawl and laugh like that?
I guess as a kid, you don't know that though. Like, you don't really know people.
Oh,
You haven't been alive that long. I don't know.
if at 13 I was under the house and grandma started spider crawling at me, laughing like that,
Or
I would
grandma,
be
yeah.
like, something is terribly wrong here.
Yeah, so after this, there's like a kind of a middle-aged man. He kind of stops by the house and he's looking for Nana and Pop Pop. He claims to work at the hospital they volunteer at, and they haven't shown up in a few days. And he kind of has some big news that he wants to tell him about that happened at the hospital. He said he'll stop by again another time, and he heads out. I guess they're. I don't remember why they weren't there. They weren't there at that time.
They were walking. They were taking a walk or
Well,
something.
there's another time, later on, somebody else stops by and they're taking a walk then too. So
Yeah, they do walk. Some people come by
yeah.
apparently, but this ends up it's kind of a hint.
Yeah, it
for
is.
Things to be.
That's why I included it. It's a little bit of a hint.
Yeah, yeah. This was one of the couple that are. And this movie does so great at making these really subtle.
But yeah, so during the past few days, Tyler has been noticing Pop Pop making short trips to this small shed on the property, and he decides to take the extra camera and sneak into the shed and see what Pop Pop is keeping in there. And a few minutes after Pop Pop leaves the shed, Tyler goes inside, and what he is anticipating is seeing a dead body. I think he says that. He's looking for something creepy. Thinks something's up in there.
You should have checked the basement.
And instead, he finds a very big pile of adult shitty diapers.
A very big pile is an understatement. Like when I seen that, I was like,
pile.
The amount of flies that would have been in that pile of shitty diapers. And he walks in and he's like, it smells like ass in here, and then turns, and I mean, it's literally I would say the biggest pile of shitty diapers you ever seen.
Well, he holds that one up, and there's like a lot of shit in that one diaper.
It is a full-on shit.
I mean, I don't know. I think that's like 3 full-on shits.
That was probably...
The front and back of that diaper is covered in shit.
It's probably a good 150, 200 pounds of just shit diapers. Anybody who's had kids knows how heavy those diapers get. You're talking about for adults. It was really fucking weird, man.
I mean, it's a big pile. That's all I gotta really say about it. It's a big fucking pile of shit diapers. And obviously adult diapers are bigger than child diapers. So it's just a lot. It's a lot. He freaks out. He runs out. Nana kind of catches him out there. But she explains to him that Pop Pop shits himself. I mean, she doesn't say shit himself, but essentially
he has
what he
accidents and he hides them in the shed.
Yeah, he's embarrassed about it and he hides them in the shed. And what she guesses is he burns them in the field.
Yeah, I mean that's
he's not an environmentalist,
for the circumstances. I guess that's the best thing you could come up with because
yeah.
I mean,
shits himself.
Yeah, he just has accidents and he tries to hide them in the shed. I guess that in that situation, I'd be like, okay, that kind of makes sense. That's still really, really weird.
Well, they do a really good job of kind of bullshitting these two for quite some time.
They do.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie.
Well, you spend this whole movie really or the first half of it, thinking just
getting bullshitted.
Are they just some old people who are just getting old and have some old people shit going on, like shitting yourself?
Yeah. So, later that night, Becca and Tyler both hear some scratching sounds out in the hallway, and it's after 9:30. Keep in mind, it's after 9:30. And they get freaked out and decide to open the door to see what it is. Tyler opens the door to find Nana naked in the hallway, scratching at the wall.
Yes. Also, another
Butt
one of those
naked.
really creepy fucking scenes.
Oh, man.
Like, she's...
her versus Pearl. Naked grandma fight.
Telling you, it's always a hit. Like
Pearl's fucking vicious.
I did think about X, but X was a little different because there was old people sex, but just any naked old women is just old people in
Disturbing.
general. I won't
Just
say just
disturbing.
women. I don't want to be sexist. Any naked old people, period. It's really fucked up. Then that scene before that too is another really weird scene at the school where he attacks that guy. That's kind of like a foreshadowing of some mental illness and some paranoia.
Yeah, they go out into the town and he claims that some random guy is following them and he just kind of
Well, it's
just attacks
he
them.
like beats this young guy's ass though. Like I mean, he throws him to the ground.
He's like, "You gonna tell people I shit myself?" He knows what I've been keeping in that shed.
Somebody was in my shed. I
Somebody was
know
in
it.
my shed and it was that son of a bitch right there. I know it. But the next day, Becca asks Pop about the situation, and he decides to tell her the truth. Well, he says he's going to tell her the truth. He tells her that Nana has a syndrome called sundowning, which causes her to have a severe form of dementia kick in at nighttime. And pretty much once it's past 9:30, she loses her fucking mind. I guess is a better way to explain it.
Yeah, that's pretty accurate.
But while he's explaining this to her, Becca realizes that Pop is having problems with his mind as well, and he may be suffering with some form of a mental issue as well.
Yeah, he's like dressing for this
He's
party.
getting dressed for like a dinner party.
Yeah,
in the middle of the afternoon.
And he's like realizes what he's doing, and it's like it's at this point in the movie where you're like, okay,
They're fucked
there's
up.
there's some more than just regular old people stuff going on here.
At this point in the movie, the first time I watched it, I definitely didn't expect, what ends up happening, but at this point I'm thinking, okay, well, they're crazy. Like they've lost their mind and they are going to eventually try to like kill these kids. I just didn't expect it that like twist at the very end
Yeah,
of why they actually try to kill these kids. But
yeah, the ending is it's fantastic in this movie. But yeah, the first time you watch it, they do a really good job of leaving subtle hints. You think, this is their mom's parents who you've never met. She has a bad relationship with them. I mean, a lot could happen in 15 years. You don't know if those are good or bad people, but it's very clear that they have some good or bad. They have some serious mental issues at this point in the movie.
yeah, one great thing is I think I told you last night, like after I finished the movie, was I I obviously remembered this twist ending for this movie, but there was like this really important part of that plot that I had completely forgotten. And when I watched it last night, I was like, "Oh shit!" I that part of it surprised me as well, and we'll get to that here in a little bit. But I had totally, I don't know if I missed it the first time I watched it or if I just didn't remember it. But yeah, it's really.
I'm pretty sure. So the same exact thing happened to me. So when we get there, I'm pretty sure it's going to be
probably the same thing.
But I even went back and watched a couple scenes.
Yeah, it's
verified.
But it makes the story even more interesting. But yeah, so yeah, Becca tries to get Nana to do an interview for her documentary, but she refuses at first, instead asking Becca to climb inside the oven to clean it, which is weird. And she does this. It excites Nana. Like, she gets in this apparently very big oven. Like, you gotta have a big fucking
This is
oven.
the biggest fucking oven.
To get a whole entire person inside of it and close the fucking door. But
yeah, this is like an oven you would see in like a big ass restaurant, I would imagine. It's the biggest oven. I mean, what is she, like 15, 16 years old?
15,
she climbs all the way inside.
It seems like some room to spare.
Yeah, and I don't remember if it's this or later on in the movie, but this is one thing I do remember when this movie was coming out. This was a major part of the previews that they showed. I
think it's this one.
Her trying to convince her to get an oven. And at this point, based off the previews, they're up to no good at this point. Now, I remember that scene sticking with me
It's like a
which is
real
what made
Hansel and
me,
Gretel thing.
yeah, which made me really want to go watch this movie.
But yeah, for some reason, this gets her real excited. Don't really know why, but she's like, after this, she's like, yeah, I'll do the interview. So she goes to do the interview, but pretty much at the beginning of the interview, she tries to ask her kind of what happened with her and her mom. And this causes her to have this mental breakdown, and she freaks out, and they have to kind of give up on the interview.
What's up? What's up with this really weird shot of her smoking right before that too?
Oh,
I don't know
yeah, it
where that
looks kind of
came from.
sexual.
Yeah,
I
it
was
looks like
like,
she's smoking a cigarette, like she's about to get some pipe laid
well,
on
I
her.
thought Pop Pop had the camera.
Yeah,
Like, and he
yeah.
was like, maybe he was holding the camera walking up to her. And I was like,
No, I'm glad
oh,
that's.
well, this is fucking weird.
I'm-
And then when she starts talking to her and you realize it's Becca with the camera, I was like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, I'm glad that I'm not the only
Yeah.
one that
Totally
caught
forgot about
the
that.
sexual. Yeah, I just wanted to throw that in there because I wanted to know what you thought about that because it seemed very sexual to me too. It's like this old lady's like smoking a cigarette, like she's about to get some pipe laid or something, or they just had sex or something, and
Don't get it.
it's just a really like random
Should have
scene
cut
that
that.
doesn't count for anything. It's very out of place. Just a
It is
strange
strange,
scene.
yeah. But then we jump to kind of Tyler and Becca. They're interviewing each other outside for the documentary. And this is where we learn that they both have very opposing opinions on their fathers abandoning them. And Tyler's view is more optimistic, and Becca's is definitely more negative. Tyler tells the story about how he was playing, football as a child, and he kind of just froze up when he like freezes up when he gets afraid. And his dad was kind of the only one that never really judged him about this incident where he kind of froze up. And this story kind of comes into play later on. It's not really understood why he's telling this story at the time. Becca kind of talks about how it negatively affects her, and you see it really, fucks up her self-esteem. And
Yeah. And he ends up saying some really fucked up stuff too. I didn't really get that either. Why he like breaks his sister down when it's his turn. But the scene before this is another really creepy scene. I'm bringing it up because this is the one I referenced that had that paranormal activity feel. So it's when they hide the camera downstairs so they can see what she's doing at night.
oh, I didn't think
And
we had, well, I didn't think we'd gotten there yet. Did we?
yeah, it's right. It's right before the scene where they interview each other. So I assume you're about to hit that, but I'll just comment on it. It's a super creepy scene, but the initial where she's walking and she starts like slamming the door, it is very 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 paranormal activity. It's
Yeah,
like
yeah. I see it.
it's
It's coming up.
literally feels like it is a shot straight out of Paranormal Activity. It definitely a strong found footage feel on that one, and a super creepy scene.
Yeah, so the next morning, Becca interviews Pop Pop for the documentary, and this is where he starts to tell her about how he had a really good job at a factory, but he was eventually fired because he kept seeing a white figure with yellow eyes that followed him around. He would tell others about it, but no one else could see it, and he has seen it recently at the farm. And he tells Becca that soon she will be able to see it too. And
That's not a
this
good
is
sign.
definitely this is some not good like schizophrenia shit. That's what I would be thinking. I'm like, this fucking dude is going to kill us all in our sleep. That's what I would think.
Yeah,
Like, this is not good.
this is the point where you should have been like, all right, we need to get out of here. Like,
Yeah.
there's some serious shit obviously going on with Nana, like turning fucking crazy at night. And then you got somebody who basically tells you like he's seeing dead people, and you're going to be able to see it soon too.
Well,
Um,
by this age, when I was her age, I had already read the Amityville Horror, where the original guy had murdered his whole
mhm.
family because the pig with the red eyes told him to do it or what. And then as soon as I would have heard that at her age, I'd have been like, nope, getting the fuck out of here. Like, I already know what's gonna happen. But yeah, so Tyler wants to set up a camera in the living room to record throughout the night, but Becca believes that this is unethical, and she thinks that her grandparents are just experiencing signs of early onset schizophrenia. We also get a short scene of a character named Stacy. She's coming over to thank Nana and Pop Pop for their help at she's in like a rehab hospital, and they volunteer there and they kind of helped her out. And she just stops by to kind of talk to them about big news at the hospital, something that had happened, and she's got a blueberry cobbler. But Becca informs her that they just went on another walk. Good timing. And Stacy says she'll come back another time. Nana informs the kids that she accidentally spilled some batter on Becca's laptop camera, and she tried to clean it with some cooking spray, which makes no sense, which is
It's
essentially
oven cleaner or
it was an
something.
oven cleaner,
Yeah.
something like that.
Slick move.
Pretty much, yeah, just some kind of like greasy type stuff. But it ends up leaving the kids with audio but no video on their laptop. So whenever they Skype their mom, the mom can't see, and then that makes sense later on in the story. So I guess they could kind of call her on the computer, but they can't see. They can see her, she can't see them.
Yeah, and at this point in the movie, like when it happens, you're like, oh, that's kind of weird, but you don't realize the first time watching it that it's deliberate. So it really ends up being very slick. And you find out later on why.
Well, so when I was rewatching it, when I was originally writing the notes, I didn't catch this the first time. But on the very second day, the morning of the second day they're there. Like they get there the first day, and then they go to sleep that night. That's the night she throws up. And then the very next morning, the first morning, they're there. There's a scene where Becca comes downstairs, and Tyler's sitting there talking to Nana with the laptop in front of him. And this is where he's explaining to her where the camera is on the laptop. And this is where he's telling her about his stupid ass YouTube channel. And he's like Tyler the Creator. Them being old people, had no fucking idea that this laptop had a camera on it until his dumbass told her that. And that the very next day is when the next morning is when she was like, oh, we got to fuck that camera up, or we're eventually going to get caught.
No.
Yeah, and I didn't catch that.
I didn't catch that either.
I didn't catch that until I rewatched it.
That's interesting.
When I wrote these notes. Yeah, totally. Just didn't even. That just scene just flew right over me the first couple times I watched this movie.
Yeah, that makes sense because they probably didn't even know laptops had cameras.
No, you can tell by the look on her face that she's like, wait, what? This has a camera. Yeah, definitely interesting.
I didn't catch that. That is interesting.
But yeah, so that night at 10:16, they start hearing noises. They're kind of on guard now. So they're like, as soon as they hear noises, they look at the clock. They got the camera ready. So it's 10:16. They start hearing noises outside their door, and they decide to investigate it. And I just want to point out that T. Diamond Stylist wears PJ sets to bed.
And all the ladies love it.
All the ladies love pajama sets.
Him. Yeah.
They like them pajama sets.
Get you
nothing sexier than a pajama set from Target.
Have to bust out the old Power Rangers pajama set. It blows minds, apparently.
So Becca opens the door and sees Nana running past with both arms behind her back, rushing past them in both directions. And then suddenly, quickly crawling towards them, and then they kind of slam the door shut real quick and lock it. I would have had the same reaction. Like, I would have said, what the fuck? But, that's just me. That would have freaked me out. That would have 100% freaked me out.
Yeah, this is another one of those fantastic, really creepy scenes that are spread throughout the first part of the movie, where the movie's not really scary, doing a lot of character building and setting up the story. But these couple scenes that they throw in there is really creepy.
Every creepy ass fucking thing that she does after 9:30 is scary.
It is.
Everything she does. If I was in their boat I would be dreading 9:30 all day
Yep.
because it's like, what creepy shit is going to happen tonight?
Yeah, I wouldn't be good. Like this stuff wakes them up. I wouldn't be going to sleep because it seems like
No.
everything right around 10:15, between 10:15 and 10:45, everything always starts going down. The couple times they show the clock, there ain't no way in hell I'm falling asleep after a couple times of this happening. And I'll reference this later on, but the lady who plays Nana is the best person in this movie. She's the best actress in this movie, in my opinion.
Yeah, she's
She
great.
is fantastic. She does this part better than probably anybody else I could think of.
Yeah, M.Night Shyamalan actually, he this was his favorite actress in this whole, the favorite actor in this movie. He said that when he seen her audition tape, because he set out to really only cast unknowns in this movie, and when he was looking for people, and he said he had seen her tape, he watched it one time, and then he knew, like, she was the person. And he was the one that he gave he gave her the most credit. It was like, she's an amazing
Yeah,
person,
yeah,
amazing actor.
I agree. She made this movie. Which was she known? Was she
No,
known before? Okay,
no,
yeah,
I'll mention a little something about her later on.
yeah.
But
She's amazing.
yep,
The creepy parts are amazing. Even in the parts where she has to get upset and like pretend like somebody with mental illness is getting upset about. I mean, she's just. I don't think anybody could have did this part better than she could have.
no, the only famous actor in this whole entire movie is the mom. Everyone else were all unknown actors.
Yeah.
So the next morning, we see that all four of them have decided to go on a walk on a trail in the woods, and the grandparents, they get a little further ahead on the trail, and Tyler begins to mimic Nana's running with her arms behind her back from the night before, while Becca films him. I'm gonna tell you, this is my favorite part of the movie. I rewound this fucking part 3 times. I don't know why, but when he's running back and forth with his arms behind him, and he the second time he comes back, he does like this stupid little jump. It's fucking great. And then you see, like, he goes to do the third one. I think it's the third one he
Didn't you
might
see
do,
him?
and you see her back there watching him, and he doesn't know it. And he does like this stupid little move, like his head like flails up like in the air or something too, and she's just watching him, and the look on her face, and I was just fucking dying. And I just rewound it and I watched it again, and I watched it again. I loved it. Fucking loved this part. Oh man. But he ends up getting caught by Nana, who doesn't seem too amused at all by this. From this scene, I take it she remembers the weird shit she does the night before.
Yeah, that was my question. Based off of, does she remember the stuff she's doing? And then when you see this scene, that's kind of hinting to the audience that she does know what's going on.
Yeah, otherwise, why would she give a shit that he was doing? She would just think he's just doing some weird, stupid kid shit.
I feel like she's always like that. She just is able to let it out at night because they're in bed at night. But she's probably really weird all the time. And she has to try to hold it in because, like, the under the house scene where she starts acting really weird, like,
Yeah, that's
I
true.
feel like it's not just a nighttime thing. I feel like she just holds it in until night.
She's definitely crazy because of what we find out where she comes from. We find out in the end. Like, it's not, if she was just like that situation at nighttime, like, she wouldn't have been where she was.
I don't know. Acting like that, probably.
I don't know. You would think
if at nighttime you turn absolutely batshit crazy every night.
Yeah, I mean, but a lot of people with like dementia do stuff like that in their family. Like, they still live at home or something, but
not like that. I mean, maybe I don't know. It's just from the way I take it is I think she's like this all the time, and she is aware of what she's doing.
I think she's
It's not
totally
just
crazy
like
all the time.
it's not they like the pop tries to play it off as like a blackout, like
Like she's
similar to
sleepwalking.
Alzheimer's or something.
He
Like
tries to make
really,
it say she's
yeah.
sleepwalking. She doesn't know what she's doing, but I
But
think she
it's
definitely knows what she's
yeah, I
doing.
think this scene is important, and it's showing us that that's who she really is. She knows what's going on. Just for whatever
Crazy little
reason, she's
bitch.
able to hold it in and until nighttime while the kids are there. And when the kids weren't there, she's probably like that all the time.
But yeah, so once they catch up to them, they see Nana is kind of just staring into this well, and Pop Pop's kind of like pulling her away. And it's just some kind of old broken down well in the middle of the woods. Um, Next, we see like the two kids, they return to the well a little bit later on to kind of look and see kind of what was so interesting. And I guess they think that there's something in the well. And they end up kind of pulling it up and discovering that this is an old kind of well that no one uses anymore. It's got a little bit of water in the bottom of it, but there's absolutely nothing special or interesting about this well. And this kind of confuses them at what they're really staring at, what's going on with this well. But Becca goes looking for Pop Pop in the barn, and that's when she finds him with a shotgun barrel in his mouth, and he is sitting in a chair.
He's cleaning it, man. He's
And
cleaning the
well,
shotgun.
this startles him, and he mimics wiping down the gun while declaring he was only just cleaning it. And my question is, was Pop Pop gonna blow his brains out in the barn?
Yeah,
Is he
that's
gonna
what it
kill
looks
himself?
like. That's something that I thought about as I was watching it, knowing what the rest of the movie is now. Even him being crazy, is he having a hard time dealing with Nana because she's so fucking crazy? Or does he have guilt about something?
Yeah, I'm not really
Or,
sure why this scene's in this.
yeah, based off of the end, what their plan was this whole time, it didn't really make sense.
I just
Like, was
didn't.
he just having a breakdown? But he makes it very, very clear over and over again. He was just cleaning that shotgun.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it doesn't really go with his character, or it doesn't really go with the story. I guess my thought is he does have some mental things going on, and maybe this is just him having a mental
But
situation.
he's clearly got some type of schizophrenia
Because it,
based off of what we already know. Him seeing like this white blob and talking to him, telling you don't know he's got something talking to him, telling him to shoot himself or
yeah,
something. But it's never really explained why this scene is in there.
no, he repeats like 3 different times, like he's just cleaning it though, just cleaning it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why
Yeah.
you would do that outside, I don't know. It's because there's snow on the ground. It's cold as fuck out there. But so later that evening, Becca hears Nana laughing hysterically in the living room. She sees that Nana is sitting in the chair staring at the wall like she's watching TV, and there's no TV. There's just a wall. It's really, really weird.
Really creepy. Again, that is a reoccurring theme.
Yeah.
It's like everything the lady who played her did so good. Every scene with her from I don't know, a quarter of the movie on is just creepy as fuck.
Well, this scene, she says something that was really creepy. So she tries to smother herself with some kind of cloth, and Becca kind of stops her. And after this, she says, "You have to laugh to keep the deep darkies in a cave."
Yep, I quoted that on there
Yeah,
too. That was really good quote.
yeah. I actually, because the second time I, I think maybe it was the first time I actually watched it with the captions on.
That's it.
And yeah, I actually paused it and actually wrote it down because I was like, well, that sounded creepy.
That's another thought that she's like that all the time. Like she's trying to hold that shit in
Yeah.
during the day
Mm-hmm.
until night where she can let it out.
Yeah. So then she tells Becca a story. Becca gets her to sit down for another interview, and then she tells Becca a story about how they are people in the water that were stolen by people from another planet. and that these people will later be collected and sent back to this other planet. But for now, they are at the bottom of the water, just kind of waiting. And she tries to kind of talk to her a little more about what happened with her mom 15 years ago, and she kind of freaks out, and she kind of calms her down, and she comes up with this roundabout way to get her grandmother to kind of apologize to her mother about what happened. And that's really the main reason that Becca wanted to come here. And she kind of looks at this situation like, now I've got what I've needed to help my mom. I just want to show her this apology. Now we can get the fuck out of this place. I think she calls it what, the elixir.
I think this coming up is where the scene, I think that was my mistake. So the
Mhm.
scene earlier with the really paranormal activity vibes where they see her downstairs being
Yeah,
really fucking weird.
that's when they decide. Yeah, they decide they need to leave.
It's at that point in the movie where they acknowledge like it's time to get the fuck out of here. Like they were like, "Mom's getting home from the cruise today. We're calling her. We're getting out of here."
Yeah, so later they see Nana and Pop Pop arguing outside with Stacy. Stacy has come back. And Stacy is asking them what they did and is asking them to get into her car. And the camera kind of shuts off before we see the conclusion of this argument. The kids do mention that they don't ever really see Stacy leave, but they don't pay a whole lot of attention to really what's going on. So, we don't get a ton of a conclusion with that. But so Becca and Tyler, this is where they decide to set up a camera in the living room that night. And later on, we actually see the footage of that camera, and it shows Nana comes downstairs and she's kind of slamming doors, and she's like walking around the living room at nighttime, real creepy. And then she kind of pulls like a jump scare on the camera. So she instantly knows that the camera's there, which is really creepy that she knows there's a fucking camera there instantly. It's almost kind of paranormally. And she picks the camera up and she carries it with her, and she walks into the kitchen and she picks up this big ass fucking butcher knife. And she carries this knife and she carries this camera upstairs. And she sits the camera down where it is shooting in the direction of the children's room, their door. And she goes up to the door and she starts trying to get in the door and banging on the door. And we end up seeing that it kind of wakes the kids up and they're kind of freaked out, but the door is locked. And then we get a scene of the next morning, the kids are watching this footage and they believe that Nana was going to come in there and try to kill them that night.
I think they are correct.
They are definitely correct.
That scene is one of the creepier out of all the creepy scenes in the movie. After that, like no doubt, I'm getting the fuck out of there.
So they decide to try to kind of avoid the grandparents for most of the day because their mom's going to be coming back from her cruise that day, and they're going to wait until a little later, and then they want to get in touch with her. And this is where Nana asks Becca if she could help clean the oven, and she reluctantly agrees to do so. Guess she doesn't really want to kind of tip off the grandparents that they're trying, like they know what's up. Like they don't want to set off any alarm bells. So she goes in there and agrees. And Nana convinces her to get in all the way. And then Nana slams the door shut and Tyler kind of freaks out in protest. And Nana quickly lets Becca out of the oven. Don't know exactly what that was all about, but yeah, it's weird.
Yeah,
It's
very
just
weird.
another weird. It's just another weird, creepy.
She's got a
creepy
weird
thing that she does.
Weird oven cleaning thing that goes on through this. It's like she's got some fantasy of like cooking Becca in there alive. And you think that's going to happen. Like they set it up, especially after the previews, and it's already happened once.
I got like a real loose theory that we'll talk about a little bit later on. It's about the only thing I got that goes with that, though. But yeah, so the kids wait for Nana and Pop Pop to go outside for a bit, and then they, once they do that, they Skype their mom, Loretta. Becca has managed to finally clean off the laptop camera, and they can kind of see each other again. And Loretta kind of starts the conversation off by trying to tell them about her vacation, but the kids stop her and tell her that they need her to immediately come and pick them up now. They tell her about Pop Pop and the gun in the barn, and Nana with the knife. Uh, Tyler holds up the laptop camera to the window for Loretta to see, and she has a very stunned reaction. So in this scene, she keeps saying, she's like, "Listen to me, kids, listen to me, listen." And no, the kids aren't saying anything. I'm like, just spit it the fuck out. I don't understand. Like, they're literally glued to this lap. Like, they're listening to her. As soon as she says it the first time, they're listening. And I don't know if it's just her just being that stunned or her trying to figure out what's going on. But yeah, she like just kind of stumbles around of really dropping this bomb that she's about to drop. You would think she'd want to get that out as soon as possible, but she drops the bomb on them that those are not your grandparents.
Yeah. Yeah, big. That's a big fucking bomb.
It's a big ass bomb. And she's like, have you been staying with those people the whole entire time? And they're like, yes, these are the people that picked us up from the train. And yeah. And she is freaking out. So she attempts to try to call the police department. It's a small town. There's only one cop, and she gets no answer. So she informs them, you guys need to get out of there right now, run to a neighbor's house. She tells them, I'm going to hop in the car. I'm driving there right now. I will continue to call the police while I'm on the way there, but you guys need to get out of there immediately. So after that, the grandparents walk in and pretty much decide that everyone's going to play board game. It's going to be family board game night.
Be fucking Yahtzee night.
Yahtzee night. And the kids try to leave out of the back door, but upon opening it, they see Stacy hanging from a tree out back. I love that little quick glimpse of her just out there hanging. They didn't even bother to cut her down and hide her.
No.
Actually,
they knew the time. They talk about in those interviews earlier on, like their last interviews they're doing after they call their mom, that the grandparents are like, they're upset because they're like, our time's coming to an end.
Yeah.
So I think they know that it's the jig's up, or I don't know how many days left they were supposed to have there.
They were leaving the next day.
Yeah. So it was time.
Yep. So the kids, they are forced by the grandparents to play a game of Yahtzee. Where so the longer this game of Yahtzee goes on, the more bizarre the grandparents' behavior becomes. It's kind of like the closer we get to 9:30, the more weird things become. And another weird thing is Yahtzee really gets Pop Pop going.
Yeah, he's a fucking Yahtzee player.
He
for sure.
is very competitive, and it's kind of bringing out his bad side, I guess. He does make that comment too that he was like the best in the cafeteria, and one of them's like, "What cafeteria?"
Yeah,
and they're kind of like lets
that.
on, yeah. So Becca kind of makes an excuse to sneak away, and she ends up sneaking down into the basement where she believes her real grandparents are being kept. And while she's down there looking around, she finds a dumpster. And down there inside the dumpster, she first comes across some pictures and other belongings that belong to her real grandparents. She kind of sees what they actually look like. And she comes across a picture of her real grandparents and these two people who have been pretending to be her grandparents. So obviously they know each other. So she finds a bloody hammer with some blood and hair on it, and then she comes across a Meadow Shade Mental Hospital clothing, and then underneath that is some very decayed bodies of her real grandparents. Very gray, They would smell. Oh, she would smell them.
That's
They
what
would
I was
smell them
thinking.
from in. They would smell them from upstairs.
I think
But
you would be to smell them from outside the house.
yeah, you would. I mean, it's been at least 5 days now, but
They must have thought it was mold in the basement.
it was basement mold.
That's
It
why
was
I even
old
know
people smell.
they got curious about the shed
It's
and everything
grandpa's
else.
shit diapers.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
That
I'm sure that
smells.
smelled awful too.
Fucking old people and shit diapers. I don't know.
Mold and shit diapers.
Yeah.
Stay out of the basement.
I'm surprised they didn't like Skype their mom and be like, how did you live here? It smells like shit here all the time. So
That old people shit too. That smells so much worse.
yeah,
God, that's terrible.
it's just degraded insides.
And that's a real thing. The old people shit stinks worse. I'm pretty sure I seen an article. I think it was on I Fucking Love Science like 2 months ago.
Why do old people's
that's a
shit
real
smells
thing.
worse than
It
middle-aged
does.
people's shit?
Yeah, it's so God. I can only imagine like a 300-pound stack of old people shit that's been sitting there.
Imagine what the police went through. They had old shitty diapers, it's like a week old, and then dead bodies that's a week or two old. I mean,
yeah, and apparently they only have one cop there because he can't answer the phone.
well, I
Like,
mean, I don't know there's a bunch more
Yeah,
than
there's a
one
bunch.
just shows up.
Yeah, that's true, but yeah, that was a reference to her trying to call the police, and she can't get the police on the phone.
Yeah,
Like in this, because it's such a small town, supposedly.
he's on call right now.
Yeah, that's
Yeah. Pop, or who is known to be Pop, he appears behind her, and he explains that he and Nana were patients of Meadow Shade, and they knew her real grandparents as volunteers. And they decided to kill the volunteers and take over their life when they heard that their grandchildren were going to be coming and visiting. They kind of thought that it would be, what'd they say? It would be a fun thing to do to kind of enjoy being grandparents for a week. And this is where he says that Claire, aka Nana, her new real name's Claire, killed her children and put them into suitcases into a lake so that the people from the other planet would take them. And this is the part of the movie that I completely forgot about. And so when you kind of look back on it, the story that the lady Claire told Becca during the interview, this is obviously what she really believes, and this is why she is actually in this place. She is fucking really crazy. She's obviously murdered her children in the past, and he makes a statement. I guess she has convinced this guy, because they were in a mental institution together. She has convinced him that this other planet thing is real too, because remember, he says like her children are already there, but we are gonna go there together as well. Like he tells her, like, we're all gonna die tonight. So I guess their plan is they were gonna enjoy being grandparents for a week, and then they're gonna kill the two kids and kill themselves at the well, because he says, Claire says the only way to get to this other planet from here is that well. So they got this whole fucking murder plot involving Claire's, I don't know, like a crazy mental theory that she has, her mental condition, that everyone can die and then just use this well to go to this other planet where her murdered children already are.
I didn't catch the well part.
Oh yeah,
I didn't catch that.
Yeah, so that's why why they were staring at the well, is I guess she told him, like, this is how we get to the other planet. Because remember, she threw her kids down in the water, and then she talks about how you have to put the bodies at the bottom of the water for the people from another planet to get them. And there's no other body of water on the property except for
Mm,
that well. So
yeah,
she
I missed
plans to
that.
do everyone to get to die that night, and then everybody be in the well, even though the well is definitely not big enough for all four of them. But
And this story
whatever.
was so well written. Like this part of it, like the ending. He had to wrote this movie around this ending that he came up with. I mean, it's fantastic, and it's one of those movies where you watch the second time, and when you know the story, like the stuff that you pick up on that you wouldn't have picked up on before, that should have been so obvious. Like the first guy comes to the house and he's like, he mentions that they volunteer, and he's like, "There's been some exciting things
Mm-hmm.
happened," which was obviously them escaping. Those two escaping. Then the second lady shows up.
She
Um,
kind of says the same thing.
yeah, yeah, but she mentions something at the end, and it's really like you almost miss it. What'd she say? Like, I heard about what happened at Maple. Was it was it
No,
Maple
it's like Meadow, Shady Meadow or something. What is it called? Meadow Shade.
Maple Shade?
Is it Maple Shade? That was
I'm
Meadow
pretty sure
Shade.
it's Maple Shade because I rewinded and watched it
Whatever,
before.
whatever.
Anyway, so yeah, she says that at the very end. She's like, I came in to check on her. Nana's been sick, and then what happened at Maple Shade? And you don't really catch that. Like, it's so subtle. And then whenever they're driving in the car on the way to the school and they're calling out places, and Tyler calls out that place, and
Yeah, and
Pop
he.
Pop cuts him off and says, "No, that's Maple Shade. That's where we volunteer. We'd have to take you. But,
Mm-hmm.
I have to find my badge, and I'll take you by there one day." Like, those three things together, every one of them so subtle. When you go back and rewatch it, you're like, wow, this seems really obvious. But the first time I watched this movie, I did not have any idea that that was going to be the ending. I thought these grandparents just went fucking crazy, or had like this revenge thing against their daughter or something, and had went crazy and was gonna do something to her kids. I had no idea that it was going to end up being. And you never imagine that could even happen? Like, how could this lady send her kids off, and her kids not know that these aren't their real grandparents?
Well, there's another there's so many of these little things sprinkled throughout this movie. Like when Stacy shows up for the second time and she's having the argument, you realize why she is freaking out because she recognizes them as
Mm-hmm.
patients
Yeah.
from there. And that's why she's trying to get them to get in her car because she's trying to take them back to this mental institution. And then, the thing with the well, you never really understand the well until
No.
that one sentence at the very end of the movie is like, what she says, we can only get to this other planet through the well.
No.
And there's so much going on and there's so much shock happening at this one scene that it's so easy to just miss all this like detail that's being thrown at you at one time. That's a huge part of the plot. I don't even know if I remember all that stuff from the first time I watched it years ago.
Yeah.
I don't remember
I
any of this stuff.
this was the second or third time I've seen this movie, and I'd seen some of the other stuff, but the well part, I still missed that. Like I said, it's one of those movies you can go back and watch and pick up things. And now that you know what the story is, when you go back and watch it again, there's certain things that'll stick out to you. But I thought this ending was a fantastic ending. This ending for me is what really makes this movie.
Yeah, so he ends up catching Becca and he locks her into a room with Nana, who at this point is sundowning and she's going crazy. Pop Pop comes downstairs. Tyler is kind of frozen in fear in the kitchen, and he tells him that he never liked him, which I totally understand. That was a
Yeah,
fake fist bump in the beginning.
yeah. This was So this is after Nana goes crazy, because she goes crazy and he has to like take her upstairs and lock her in the
Mm-hmm.
room, and then Tyler's sister gets locked in the room up there too with her, and he's still standing there. And I thought that is one of my favorite parts of the movie. I know you mentioned him making fun of Nana. That scene right there where he leans down and whispers in his ear, like, "I never fucking liked you." Like, I thought that was fantastic. And they referenced Tyler too, his germ. It's like germaphobe thing.
Yeah.
They actually referenced that in the beginning. So what ends up happening to him is just that much better.
Well, this also like plays back to that that little scene where they're interviewing each other outside, and he tells that, you know, way too long story about the whole football and him freezing, and then you realize that's why Tyler hasn't just run away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because he has this situation where he can't move.
No.
And it's not just for like normal people will freeze for a couple seconds. That's normal. He freezes for an extended amount of time. And that's why it's like, well, why the hell didn't you just like, you know, you could have just left, but you can't.
Well, that's another one of the subtle things, and I didn't really catch that until I watched it this time too, where I was like, well, why wouldn't he just run off? And then I remembered the football when he's talking about his dad, which kind of makes that scene make a little more sense of him telling that story.
But yeah, so he tells him he doesn't like him, and while he's kind of talking to him in the kitchen, he very slickly removes a shitty diaper.
And I thought he was gonna rape him.
I did too. He starts taking off his pants, and I'm like, he's like, I don't like you, and I'm gonna rape you.
Yeah, he starts taking off his pants, and I'm like, oh God, I don't remember this.
And I was like, you know, at this point, this doesn't surprise me. Like, you know, if he raped him right now, as crazy as these two old people are, not really that surprised. You know, and I was thinking, I don't remember this either.
Yeah.
But, you know, I don't remember the whole crazy alien other planet plot either. So, you know, let's fucking run it.
I remembered the shit in the face. I did remember that. I'll tell you why I remembered it. Because I fucking hate Tyler. Like, I hate his character.
He earned every fucking particle of that shit.
I loved him whispering like, "I never liked you," and then he's like gets this shit which is horrible. I mean, it really is horrible. He gets this shit diaper in the face. But when he was taking his pants, I remembered the shit diaper. But I'm like, oh no, is he about to rape him or something?
Well,
I don't remember this.
I didn't, and I had forgotten about the diapers. I was in such shock of like, he's getting raped. He's getting raped.
You know, they gotta smell that. Like, they must be hanging out with Pop and be like, "Oh, Pop, you know, I have a baby. You're around my kid. When they shit, you can smell it. So it's got to be awkward when they're hanging out with Pop, and it's like Pop just shit himself.
Well, did Pop shit himself, or is there dead people in the basement? We don't know. So he walks over to Tyler and mentions his germophobia, and then he slams that shit diaper right into Tyler's face, and then just rubs it. It rubs it into his face.
It is glorious.
Absolutely awful. And Tyler starts to cry, which I don't blame him.
Yeah, I would have cried too.
I don't blame him at all.
Yeah.
I would cry too when I'm grown up.
That old people's shit smell, man. Oh, God.
I would never get to an age where if somebody did that to me, I would
have PTSD over that.
Yeah.
Like, I would literally think, I feel like I would think about that for the rest of my life. Not that this whole situation in general wouldn't give you PTSD. You know, your grandparents being murdered and two people who murdered them trying to now murder you. But yeah, that part would stick out probably more than anything. But I thought it's great because I hate Tyler, T Money, whatever, Tyler the Creator,
T Diamond Stylist.
Yeah, it's so stupid.
Upstairs, Becca is being chased around the room by a crazy ass Nana, and they end up fighting on the bed where she's kind of attacking Becca, and Becca stabs Nana to death with a piece of broken glass.
This is I think the scariest part of the movie. I think
This is
by
the
far.
scariest part of the movie.
When she's in it, you're getting the found footage feel, and she's locked in that room with her, and she's like crawling under the bed and like throwing her arms over the bed. But then when she takes that sheet and puts it over her head and is like rising up,
She's like super creepy.
yes,
She's up the creepy factor by like 2 notches for
like
sure.
most of this movie is creepy, like just a lot of creepy scenes. But this is actually, for me, this is when by far the scary kicks in for this movie.
But she gets on top of her, and I'm like, is she gonna like bite her face? Because it's like that's it. You don't know what she's doing because she is in her face. She is on top of her. Like Becca is trying everything to get her off it, and then she's losing this battle against this super old ass lady.
And we did right before that too. She like slams her because my one of my favorite shots of the movie is her looking in the mirror, because they talk about the fear of her looking at herself in the mirror, and she has to look at herself, and fucking crazy ass Nana's got the sheet over her making these like grunting sounds, and she comes up over her shoulder and you could see the reflection, and then she just starts slamming her head into the glass mirror. And then, like you said, she gets on top, and you're like, "What is she? What is she gonna do?"
She
Like,
looks like
she's
she's
so
gonna like
unpredictable.
bite her fucking neck too, and
Yeah,
then that's when you kind of see Becca kind of stabs her with this glass. You don't see exactly where she stabs her. I don't know if it was the neck or what, but you just see this great scene of blood just start kind of pouring all over Becca's face. That's always good in a movie.
yeah, I love that
Never can go
shot.
wrong with blood pouring into somebody's face.
Yep, love that shot.
And
And they did the audio too. The audio on it was great. Like how the stabs just had that good stab sound to them.
excellent job, Foley people. Excellent job. So she ends up killing Nana, and she jumps up, and she escapes this locked room. She like breaks the doorknob off, and she runs downstairs, and she attacks Pop Pop from behind. And once she kind of attacks him, it kind of snaps Tyler out of his frozen state. Tyler kind of goes into this rage mode, and he like knocks him down, kind of like a football tackle kind of thing. And then he begins to slam his head into the refrigerator door repeatedly. I guess he killed him. Didn't
Hated
really
it.
say
Hated it.
when
I
he fell in
hated
the
the
football
kill.
stuff.
The football stuff was
No.
cringy, and the way he killed him was cringy. If they had to reshoot any part of this movie, I feel like that was it. Like they could have killed him in such a better way.
I don't even know if they killed him.
I know they
I
wanted
was
to
hey,
tie it in with kind of the
you could
stuff
live
with
through
his
that.
dad and stuff, but yeah, it would be really hard to slam somebody's head in a refrigerator door enough times, and he hits him like, I don't know, he slams it like 5 times maybe, to actually kill somebody doing that. I assume it was a kill.
Yeah, I don't
That's a
know.
completely an assumption, but they don't give us any reason to think that he didn't kill him.
I just wrote a question mark after
I
that
just
sentence. I don't know.
I absolutely hated that
Yeah, I don't
that
know.
part. I feel like they could have come up with like such a cooler way to have Pop Pop killed. Like Nana, she gets stabbed to death.
Should have shotgunned him
There's
to
this
death.
cool blood scene, and then with Pop Pop, you don't even actually see him. Like you can't even see his head when the door is being slammed. You see like the bottom part of his legs.
Yeah,
Not a great kill.
not a fan. Don't even know if it's a kill. If I don't know if it's a kill in a horror movie, it's
I don't know. Some of them can't sleep away though.
Sleepaway Camp has a great ending. A man was killed by bees, and we see
the body. I'll give you
it.
that. We see the body. If we wouldn't have seen the body in the drowning,
Someone's head was cut off.
If we wouldn't have seen the body in the drowning scene, like I was confused if that was a kill or not. Anyway, on to the
You
movie. I
killed
thought
Pop
it was
Pop with bees.
Yeah. Honestly, I would have been
Better
happier.
than that.
I would have been happier with the bees. But if they could have found that
You
pump shotgun and cut old Pop Pop in half.
you just picture Tyler, Pop Pop's head, decapitated head rolls off of Tyler's lap. Tyler stands up naked and does that animalistic hit.
Starts rapping. Starts rapping.
Becca and Tyler then run out to the house where conveniently the fucking police and their mom are all pulling into the driveway at the same exact time. The police rush into the house. The kids are put into the cop car with their mom. It's pretty much the end of that. Then we get a fast forward to a few days or weeks later, I guess. I think it's weeks. And Loretta is doing another interview for the documentary. She is much more emotional this time and kind of talking about her parents. And she starts telling the camera what actually happened 15 years ago that made her stop talking to her mom and dad. And during the argument that she previously talked about, she tried to leave once things got real heated. And her mom stepped in front of the door, tried to stop her from leaving. So she slapped her mother in the face. And then her dad kind of reacted negatively and slapped her in the face for slapping her mom. And this kind of stunned everybody. And then she stormed off and left. They did reach out to a couple days later to try to mend the relationship. I believe they tried a few times after that, but she just pretty much ignored them, and they eventually just kind of left her alone. And the story ends with her kind of telling her children to never hold on to anger, that it's not really worth it.
You find out Loretta kind of sucks. She literally hits her mom and then doesn't talk to them. Like, they reach out to her. I think it was like multiple times over the years they tried to contact her, and she wouldn't get back with them. Like, that's just kind of crazy.
That is to give up your parents, which seems like she had a really good relationship before this, but to have nothing to do with your parents your whole entire adult life because of an argument that occurred when you were a teenager. That's just crazy to me.
Agreed.
You you got that time to mend that relationship, but that's not true. You're not guaranteed that tomorrow. So I guess that's, really what they're trying to tell. That's what they're trying to point out. And that's true. But, she learned it the hard way, but she's a fictional character, and fuck her. That's really all I got to say about that. There's a deleted scene where I think they should actually use the deleted scene. I thought it was better.
I'm talking about the alternative ending.
Or yeah, not deleted scene. Yeah, there's a different ending that's a little more, I would say it's a lot more of a kind of an emotional thing where she actually reads a letter that her parents wrote her, that I guess it sounded like they were planning to send this letter back with her kids when they went back home. And it was kind of telling her, like, no matter what happened, we still loved you. And it's, you ended up having these great kids. So, in the end, we ended up being wrong anyway. I think they should have went with that ending because it was much more heartfelt. She fucking sucks.
The alternate ending was much better, I thought.
Yeah.
I think they wanted to end it maybe more on a happy note, like the one they ended up using, not as emotional. But I thought the alternative ending was much better. It was very, very emotional, very like sad, but I thought it was much better.
Yeah, and then the actual ending of this movie is stupid as fuck. It is T. Diamond Styles rapping about the whole situation that happened with getting the poop rubbed in his face and all that stuff.
I actually paused this, so
you did.
Don't stop yourself if you're watching this for the first time. Just pause it. Don't even sit through it. It's not worth it. Just pretend that Tyler got a really bad infection and died after the events of getting shit rubbed in his face. So we never had to hear this terrible rap. I completely cut this out. I wouldn't have caught it.
He let you know that shit don't taste like chicken. Shania Twain.
That's so fucking bad.
That's stupid. So fucking dumb. Yeah, it just they should have cut that out of the movie. That's in the movie. That's the end of this plot.
That is.
Yep.
That
So
is
we'll
the
go
end.
into a little bit that I learned about the movie. So the main reason that he funded this movie himself was not because of he was had some failures beforehand. It was because he wanted to regain artistic control over his movies. His previous 2 movies, he was denied the final cut of the movies, and he was removed from having any say-so during post-production of the previous 2 movies.
Yeah, that would be tough. I could see where
Yeah, pretty
being in his
much.
situation, your name's on something and you
Yeah,
pretty much don't even get
his
the
name
say-so.
was getting trashed with these movies that weren't doing well, and he wasn't even having the say-so or being able to say what was in or wasn't in the movie. And that is why he did this movie himself. That's why he funded it himself. It's just like, if I'm going to put my name on this next one, I'm going to have all the control over it. And I think that was a great decision.
Yeah, I agree with him 100% there.
Yeah.
I could see where I don't know which 2 movies, the 2 before that
It was
that
After
failed.
Earth and something else.
Yeah, I could see where taking all this negative
The Last Airbender.
Yeah.
And some Will Smith After Earth. They bombed.
Yeah, never seen it.
Me neither. Never seen either one of them.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see after getting all these critics blowing you up after 2 movies in a row where you didn't get the control, but your name's on it. I think you made a good decision there.
This is the first M. Night Shyamalan movie to not have the customary cameo that all his movies had before this.
Yeah, I didn't notice that.
Normally he's in them.
Yeah.
He ain't in this one. He's switching it up, man. It's completely different. Completely different style. M. Night Shyamalan claims to have watched thousands of audition tapes for the roles of this movie, especially the kids. I don't think he watched thousands, but
Yeah,
okay.
that's kind of There's
I don't think that's
there's
true.
only like
He could have watched hundreds.
There's only 5 main characters of the movie.
Yeah, I don't think he watched thousands. But he wanted to cast mostly unknown actors for this, as he wanted it to be more of a low-budget, smaller movie feel. Like I was saying, there's only one person in this movie who is a very famous actor. The 2 kids, they're actually both from Australia, the same city in Australia. They do not know each other, but that was a coincidence.
Yeah, I knew that the kid who played Tyler was from Australia because I looked it up to make sure he never got a fucking job again after this.
Did he?
He did. Yeah, he ended up being on some, I think, sitcom in Australia. Or something.
Well,
that's the biggest movie he ever did, at least in the States.
Well, he sucks.
Yeah, he does suck. I was really hoping that I was gonna read that just his career just absolutely bombed and he can't even go into a restaurant without getting made fun of. But hey, some people bounce back.
He can get better. Not saying he can't eventually be a good actor, but wasn't a fan of him here.
No,
but he is a kid, so
I mean, he acts like a really cringy kid very well. He did that really well. We all have moments that we think back on when we're around that age where we're like, man, how fucking cringy was that? But I don't think any of it gets as bad as that. Like that is some really, really cringy. He sucked. I'll leave it at that. I'll quit talking about how I know I've mentioned it 1,000 times. I told you I would. Yeah. That's my final words on him.
If he ever hears this, somebody's going to catch him in the barn just cleaning the gun. This was the whole cast. Their very first horror film. That's surprising for the person who played Nana.
Yeah.
She should be in more horror films.
She should be in every horror film. She's that good. Rob Zombie needs to quit casting his wife and get a hold of her. Cast her in every movie.
Yeah. He's not gonna do that though.
No, he'll be in the doghouse if he does that.
Oh man. Yeah. So M. Night Shyamalan made 3 cuts of this film. The first accidentally turned out to be a comedy. There is a version of this film out there that obviously hardly nobody has seen that is a comedy.
Well, I could see
Not
it
horror, just funny.
because the
Would love to see that version.
the first half of it really is just kind of just a lot of comedic input on this movie.
So that's actually the first version he shopped around and no one wanted it. And they were like, what is this like? Did you make a comedy that's supposed to be kind of like a thriller, but it's funny?
And that's why they didn't
And
get him final say so over the
and-
other two movies.
And he was like, well, he was in, this happened. And he was like, well, I'm going to lose this $5 million that I have on my house. So he goes back and he makes another cut and it ends up being just a straight horror film. And, he's like, well, I don't want it to just be a straight up horror movie. We did film some humor in it. Like we wanted there to be some funny stuff. So the third cut was kind of right in the middle, and that is the version that we see. That is this version.
Yeah, I would like to see the pure horror version.
Oh
of
yeah,
it.
just a straight scary version.
I think that it would.
Sure.
I think it would be rated quite a few points higher, in my book at least, if you took some of the comedy, because a lot of the comedy is with Tyler, and I'm just not a fan.
He's just not funny. So that's all I got. You want to jump into the ratings?
Well, we don't skip out on best kill.
I didn't even do that because there's like no fucking kill.
Yeah, I just put for best kill.
Just one kill.
Becca killing Nana with the glass.
Oh yeah,
because
okay.
That's all I had to choose from. So I figured we'd be on the same page there.
We are.
Best kill.
That's a given. Yeah, that was my favorite kill.
Yeah, we jump in ratings.
I love how T Diamond Styles killed rap. This killed it for me. Like I can't listen to rap anymore.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Nah. Yeah, I didn't do a kill. I didn't do rate a killer because, I mean, I don't know. There is none of that stuff in this movie. This is just really just a creepy movie. It's a found footage kind of creepy movie. It's not even paranormal. It has a lot of the stuff that we would normally rate is not in this movie. It's not really rateable in this movie. So I didn't fill out all that stuff. Unless you got something you want to rate.
No, I'll go into the final rating of the movie. So I gave it a 3.6 out of 5.
Whoa!
And I added a good whole point for the ending.
Okay.
Easy. Man, now I would say a 1.5 because honestly, the rest of the movie is kind of. Well, no, I'd give it a point. I would give it a 2.6 without the amazing ending, just because of the creepy scenes. The lady who played Nana alone earned that. But yeah, overall, it's a fun found footage movie. It has a lot of really creepy scenes. The acting was good from both the people who played the grandparents and Becca. I thought all three of them did really well. The first half of the movie is just kind of comedic with some really creepy parts added in. But I would say once you get the reveal of that ending, from that point forward, it actually is a scary movie. I wish that the whole movie was like that, but unfortunately it's not. I do love how this movie adds the subtle things throughout that kind of hint towards the end, but it still ends up, the first time watching it still ends up being a big surprise on the ending. And they're able to, it's one of those movies you can go back and watch a second time and start putting pieces together, and then everything start kind of falling in place and making a lot more sense. Yeah, overall, I'd say it's a fun movie to watch.
Yeah.
I don't dislike it. I just dislike Tyler. Without that, I think it'd be a much better cut. But yeah, 3.6.
Okay. That's not super far off from me. I rated this movie at a 3.1. I don't really like the kids. I don't really like either one of them. So we don't really need to talk about T Diamond anymore. We have already covered why he sucks.
He no longer exists.
My issue with Becca is she, and I don't know, this is probably how actual 15-year-old girls are, but she does that whole like, especially because she's doing this documentary, she does that like, oh well, that's not how the documentaries do this, and movies do that, and I'm trying to make this movie do this, and I hate movies that make me feel like emotional. Like she's just trying way too hard to be this person that even as an adult I can't stand. Like the movie snob is what she is acting like, in my opinion. And there are times where, I think I like her version of her when she's more vulnerable or when she's scared, when she's actually just a normal person, than most of her in this movie. Like I don't really care for her.
It's interesting. That didn't really stick out to me.
Yeah, man, every time she's like when Tyler originally brings up the idea of putting the camera in the living room, and she's like, "Oh, well, that's not ethical," and she literally brings up like the standards of cinematography, and it's like you just need to see what the fuck is going on at nighttime to make sure that this person's not trying to kill you. Like, who gives a fuck about what you're talking? Like, she takes everything to this way stupid serious place that it doesn't need to be at. And I don't really like her character. I don't
Uh,
really care for her. She could have been a way cooler. Could be a way cooler character, in my opinion.
yeah, I think that there probably is some, I don't know, was she 15,
Something like
15,
that.
16-year-old girls that would act like that. I don't think they
Yeah.
were far off of where they wrote the character. How did you feel about the actress who played the character, though? I thought she did good with the character.
I mean, she did good. I mean, she wasn't like super great. I wouldn't say she stood out like like the Nana stood
Yeah,
out.
she
Like
that
she really
obviously,
stood out.
yeah.
And the girl who played Becca, she wasn't bad. Yeah, I wouldn't say she's terrible, but she didn't have a lot that really stood out to me either. She's if I was gonna rate her on her acting, 1 out of 10, 10 being great, I'd give her like a 6.5, a 7. She was good. She
Yeah,
wasn't bad.
yeah, I could see a 7.
Uh,
I don't think. I think the grandparents definitely stood out.
oh
I think
yeah.
Pop Pop did a great job too. I just think he gets overshined by the amazing job that the lady who plays Nana did.
Yeah, I just don't really care for the the characters of the kids. I don't really like either one of them. If you watch a lot of these movies, like when you watch a movie like the newest It, or you watch something like The Stranger Thing, you get these kid characters where there are some really good, really well written kid characters. And then you get something like this that I just don't like the kid characters, and I don't really like either one of them. But that's fine. That's not a big deal. It is what it is. You can't really like every character of every movie. I didn't really care much for them, but the grandparents are phenomenal. They're great. They really make the movie.
Yeah, without them, like I said, this movie wouldn't have came anywhere close to the threes. But the acting on them,
If this movie was like a supernatural movie, if you took the grandparents out of the movie and it was still a found footage movie, but it was supernatural with the two kids, this movie would get a fucking 1 maybe for me.
yeah, I wouldn't even watch it at that
Yeah, I
point.
probably wouldn't
If
watch it. But if I
this
had to
kid's
watch
still
it,
fucking rapping, I'm not
if I
watching it.
had to watch it, and the supernatural stuff was good, I'd give it a 1. But without the grandparents, no. Like no. The
Yeah,
the the kid characters aren't good enough. But if you took that same premise and it was the older people with a found footage and maybe somehow wrapped supernatural and didn't have the kids in it, I think that would be a better movie because
Or
those are
just
better
get some better
characters.
kids.
Yeah, and what I'm trying to say though is the older couple are better characters and better actors than the younger two. And you could, if you had to separate them, one movie would be way better than the other movie if they were two separate movies with the characters. But
Yeah,
what gives this movie you know, even in the threes for me is the little sprinkles of stuff sprinkled throughout it. And then you get this whole little story of this lady killing her kids, and they've got this whole plan wrapped up in the end, and this shit that I totally forgot that was happening. Because the thing that I always remembered is, and I think this is probably true for a lot of people, is they always remember that twist that that's not their real grandparents. But does everybody remember this whole entire backstory or whatever that comes with that twist? And that's if that whole story of her killing her kids and putting people into the water and the whole schizophrenia story wasn't with this, I'd probably would have gave this movie like a 2.6. But I really like that other stuff.
Yeah, that's right where I said with the ending, giving it a whole extra point. About a 2.6. I would love to be able to go in and see if there was a way to edit this movie to cut the other kid out. No, just hear me out.
All of Tyler's scenes except for where he discovers the shit barn.
Hear me out. Yeah, cut
You gotta
all
have
of
the
that
shit
and
barn
have it just cut it somehow where it's just in the movie, but he doesn't discover. Like she just, I don't know. Just if there was a way, I don't even know if there would be, but if there was a way to cut it where he's not in the movie and it's just the sister going there to make this documentary on her grandparents, I would be willing to bet it'd be a shorter movie, but I'd be willing to bet that it would be at least 0.3 higher for me. At least. Just not having to deal with that kid.
I'd be fine if you just took out all the scenes where he's like the main focal point. Like there's the scenes where they're scared, they hear this shit out in the hallway and they're like talking amongst each other. I don't really care about him that much there. Like he's fine. But it's the scene where he kind of takes the star role in the scene that I'm like, shut the fuck up.
You know what I told Brooke? I'm like this kid has to be like a producer's like nephew or something.
Yeah,
like how in the fuck did he get this fucking? How did he get this role? Like this had to be somebody.
He fucking rapped his way into this shit.
I guess
See his
so.
skills.
It's bad. Yeah, but without that, like the reason I give it the rating I did is the grandparents' performance and the story. It was written really good, but with like you were saying, like we kind of both said, with this subtle stuff, the stuff they have sprinkled in that really ties the story together once you find out what's going on.
I am going to say though, is I do hope that he in real life didn't get like picked on or bullied a ton for the rapping, because I have a feeling that when he went back home to be like a regular person, everyone at school fucked with him so hard on this, because that is exactly what would happen at school. Like everyone would be making fun of how terrible his rapping persona in this movie was. Like
I wonder who wrote the rap scenes
I don't know.
for this.
I mean, you remember what the kid from Star Wars went through.
Maybe he wants to be a rapper.
The kid from Star Wars like quit acting. Like he wanted to kill himself or something at one point because he was in one Star Wars movie and
people that was crazy to me though, because I thought he did fine.
He was totally fine.
I don't see any
kids
problem.
Suck.
Yeah,
kids are assholes. It's not surprising.
Yeah, well, he didn't.
Imagine if he had rapped in Star Wars. How bad it would have been.
I can't say he didn't, but he was able to go on and have a successful career on like a sitcom. So,
but yeah, that's I don't know. That's all I really got about The Visit.
yeah, good.
It's not
If,
profound. I have a ton of stuff to say about it, but it's good. I probably won't watch it again for another, I don't know, 3-4 years. Kind of hope that I forget a lot of stuff about this movie so I can kind of do what I just did now and watch it again and kind of be surprised by some of it.
Yeah, if you want to see a fun found footage
That's a fun
movie with really, really good creepy scenes, like there's a lot of really good, like that's really what makes this movie memorable 4 years down the road, is you might forget some stuff, but you remember that ending and you remember that there was some creepy ass scenes. And actually, I watched it and there was more creepy scenes than I remember.
Oh, it's
And
like double.
It's
double the amount.
Yeah, and it's all with the lady who plays Nana. She just absolutely kills it. Like, I bow down to her. She did a great job. Without her, this movie we wouldn't be probably doing the podcast on this without her.
Nope.
So.
No, we wouldn't have covered it. Probably would have been a forgotten about found footage movie, but
He would have lost his $5 million. That's what
would have
would have
lost
happened.
his home. He'd be poor. He would be poor, Shyamalan. But yeah, I guess that's it for The Visit. Next is what I say we were gonna do next. I already picked it. Pet Cemetery.
Pet Cemetery. Okay.
OG Pet Cemetery, though. We're not gonna do the remake. We're doing the old one, the original Pet Cemetery. Very much looking forward to doing Pet Cemetery. That'll be coming next week.
I'm looking forward to that.
I am too. Especially because I originally wasn't going to do it because I thought I had to rent it. But turns out it's here on DVD.
I own it.
Look at that.
We
got all the Pet Cemeteries too.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll do Pet Cemetery next. Keep an eye out for that. But other than that, you got anything?
No, that just try not to get old people shit diapers splattered in your face at work this week.
Yeah. Shania Twain, bitches.